At this point, it is nothing new when I say that our planet's climate is warming at alarming rates. Due to human activities since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we defied nature and accelerated the rate of change in climate to the point where it became the biggest existential threat to humanity and all other life on Earth. We have had the supporting data that links greenhouse gas emissions to warming temperatures since the 1980s. However, the majority of previous generations chose to ignore it and took no action at all. There are several major sources of greenhouse gases today. Among those, the building industry is responsible for nearly 40% of emissions. In this video, I will be concentrating purely on the emissions caused by the building industry, and thus by architecture. Why architecture, you may ask? Our population is expected to grow to an estimated 10 billion people by the year 2060. There is 2 billion more people that will require shelter in the form of buildings. That is, building a new New York City every month for the next 40 years. You get the idea. In order to deal with this and take a 180-degree turn, designers of the future need to make 3 major considerations. How do we design and execute buildings? Where are materials coming from into our buildings? And what building systems are we applying? Let's compare on how buildings look like and operated hundreds of years ago, and how buildings look like in those locations today. On how we design and execute buildings has more to offer than just solving climate change. Returning to a vernacular style of architecture would promote social and physiological well-being for occupants, as well as it also lays out the foundation for the second consideration. Where should our materials come from, and what should they be? To make this work, we need to start sharing our technologies globally, but source and use our materials locally. For example, do we continue importing tons of steel from China, or should we just start using engineered wood, where forests are available for harvest? Heavy timber can be produced sustainably and is a great alternative to steel and concrete, and is coming from trees that may be available at our doorsteps. And last but not least, how do we plan to operate our buildings? Are we going to continue spending the least amount of money on our building envelopes and building systems and pay for the cost of it long term? Or are we going to pay more at the beginning to not just save the planet but save our wallets as well? It is important to point out that all of these solutions are just the beginning, and the overall complexity of today's issues will require a global interdisciplinary effort to turn us around 180 degrees to sustainability.